Okay, I don't need one. It's okay, right?
This is KMTV. We are broadcasting to you live from our Brooklyn Center studio in Minnesota, Minneapolis. My name is Nathan Charles, sitting on the presenter seat on this beautiful Friday. It's August 25th, TGIF. And today on this special program, Diaspora Talk, we are hosting a figure in Liberia who is contesting as vice standard bearer on the Liberia People's Party. Dr. Emanuel Urey Yarkawolo, a native of Bon County from Zota District, is live in our studio. And on the Diaspora Talk, we'll be looking at his visit in the United States of America. And also, accompanying Dr. Emanuel Urey Yarkawolo is Joe Monlimberg, who is the executive director and also hosting Dr. Urey Yarkawolo in Minnesota. So we'll be discussing with them on the ongoing of the planned program schedule in Minnesota. Don't go away. Let's introduce the standard bearer of the Liberia People's Party, and from there we will bring you the vast standard bearer who is in studio, Dr. Emanuel Yarkawolo, and also Tiawan Gonglo, who is the standard bearer. He has been on the campaign. As you know, campaign started in Liberia, and Tiawan Gonglo has been to the streets of Monrovia and Liberia, encouraging people to vote. When we come back after Tiawan Gonglo, we'll bring you live the vast standard bearer, Dr. Emanuel Yarkawolo, who is also in our studio here in Minnesota.
Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Let's get rid of Rose on October 10. Let them leave power. They are making the country to suffer too much. Let's get rid of them October 10. Let's shift the roles of power. Join the full revolution. Let's shift the roles of power. We have to shift them from power. Too much stealing. Too much stealing. We have to shift them. Let's shift them. On October 10th, government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Yes, let's get rid of them. We'll strip them from power. This is Councilor Tiawan Gonglo, your broom man. Improve movement. Councilor Tiawan Gonglo, the broom man. Join the broom revolution so that we can strip them.
Indeed, Councilor Tiawan Gonglo, they're urging Liberians to join the broom revolution to sweep corruption, nepotism, and other bad activities from Liberia. As you know, campaign started in Liberia, and politicians are going into the streets, encouraging voters, the over 2 million voters in Liberia, to elect them. And because, according to politicians, they feel they are the right person to unseat the George Weah government in Liberia, and they are out there encouraging all Liberians to vote them in state power, because hey, election is here and it's about time that new leadership, according to these politicians, to have a new leadership. Let's take another commercial here from the Gonglo team, and when we come back, we'll invite the vast standard bearer in studio.
Frankie LV, a wrong step by a leader is a warning to the followers. Our liberator is here. They want to go all the way.
Iron Lady Records, sweet sound.
Nima kwa yawo me bongo, bongo, bongo. La biama yawo bole, bongo, 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 bongo. Say you wa ya, abola bia se ne ye wa gbe ya. Lo fa ye wa mwera, papa dia wa gongo bonu ile. You know why I am. Me go ni mahine you are there. Zaba lo kwa boyi. Ni wa lo wa boyi. Apo ma wanta me wa lo wa boyi. That the pa. No jeme. The movement. Corruption la yen pona. Me wo kwa wa iba onela wo. Inga yewa wo. Amponi mano senga yewa zo. Prende ye pona pone. Kanu gluga ore. Kanu gluga vagambo lo mwe.
Indeed, that's a song from the Gonglo campaign team. And let's say this is the pay for program on the Diaspora Talk. So indeed, if you are out there and you need to promote your candidate, you are welcome to KMTV. And let's have our guests in studio to welcome them, Dr. Emanuel, Urey, Yarkawolo, and Joe Mullenberg, who is in our live studio here in KMTV. Welcome to KMTV.
Wonderful. Little welcome to you and welcome to KMTV and all of your listeners. Very nice to be here visiting the US. Of course, program organized by Joe Mullenberg, my brother here with me. But also taking the time to interact with Liberians based in this part of the world. It's important for us to talk to them and tell them the reason why we are doing what we're doing to be running as vice presidential candidates in the pending election.
Joe, welcome to KMTV.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so basically we'll be going into discussing the activities in Minnesota. Let's say welcome to KMTV. We are open to all politicians. We are here to give you the platform to encourage the Liberian people to come out and vote whatever candidate you are putting forth. Before we come to the vast tender bearer, let's hear from the executive director, Joe Mullenberg, about this activity is organized by Team Tier 1 Gonglo in Minnesota. Let's start with you first.
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Joe Mullenberg, the Executive Director for Team Gonglo, Minnesota. And in this program that is about to come out is a joint fundraising program by LPP, Team Gonglo, Minnesota. And then this is officially welcome our VP, LPP, Yarkawolo. So for today, the program starts today, and then we will be having the meet and greet today. And the purpose of the meet and greet is we have numerous people who wants to know about him, who he is. Say he was announced as VP for LBB, so they have been asking, who is this man? What kind of stuff that is going to be a VP for our country, so we can make a decision. So they've been asking me a lot of questions, and then I always told them I may not be the right person to answer those questions, and may not give accurate answers except we hear from the house's mouth. So that's why we had the opportunity of having him here to answer those questions to people who have doubts, want to know about him before they make a decision. So he's here this evening by 5 o'clock our time, Minnesota time. There will be a meet and greet where you have the opportunity to ask all your questions you want to ask. Who is that Urey Yarkawolo? What is he from, family, or whatever you want to know about LPB and to know about, any other thing that you need to know. You can come to today at 5 o'clock at Urey, Minnesota in Broken Park. The address is I can read the address to you right now, or you can put it on the screen.
Yes, it's on the screen.
Yeah, okay, the address is on the screen. So the program starts today at 5, so you can walk your way in. And then today we'll be wearing our t-shirts. That is a normal way of welcoming our VP. You can see the sample of the t-shirt on me. I'm wearing it right now. So everybody who comes there like Friday today, you wearing this t-shirt. The t-shirt will be there in my car, and then walk to me in the t-shirt. It just costs $20. So if you wearing the t-shirt, you enter, and then you ask these numerous questions that you want to ask, as I said. So of course there'll be snacks for people who will be there. And tomorrow, and will be the main event. That is a fundraising program. Tomorrow we are meeting at the same spot again, the same address. So where we'll be doing series of things that has to do with fundraising. There will be a lot of activities. There will be, and then we urge people. Usually, we're having fundraising. We climax it with pleasure for people to enjoy after they spend the money. So we come. There'll be a lot of music. There'll be a lot of food, drinks, music, and entertainment. So if you love entertainment, that's the right place to go. Have a nice weekend. That's the next place to go after spending your money. We believe we can win this election, and we believe we need change in Liberia, and then we also believe that Dr. Yu and Council Congo are the right people to lead our country, especially when the country is, we always believe that it's in the ICU. So if you are a medical doctor or a nurse, you know what I mean by ICU. But when you're in the ICU, between life and death, they deliver from there. So the only people that can deliver like the country from the ICU is Council Congo and Dr. Urey. So we call on people who don't know Council Congo and Dr. Urey to come to this program to ask Dr. Urey questions about himself and also Council Congo and making before. Because Urey will not accept this position of people, he doesn't know Council Congo. So if you want to also know who Council Congo is, there's an opportunity also for you to come and answer questions. I thank God that he's here. So people who bombarded me with questions so that the questions can go to him. Thank you very much. Pause for now and give me the opportunity to say anything you want to say. Thank you.
Indeed, Joe Mullenberg is speaking. He's the executive director and also leading this initiative to welcome Dr. Emanuel Yarkawolo in Minnesota. Let's go over to the main focus person, the man who wants to be vice tender bearer or who wants to be vice president for Liberia on the Tier 1 Gonglo team, Dr. Emanuel Yarkawolo. He's live in our studio. Tell us a brief history about yourself, political, religious, social life.
Wonderful, Nathan. Thank you this afternoon. I come from a humble background, and my story, as I've been told around the world, and in Liberia, it resonates with a lot of people. So I was born in a small village called Gomu, that's in Zota, near the Guinea border in Bon County. Did not have access to school. No school was in the village. My mother passed away when I was just 2 years old. So that continued until 1989. I wanted to go to school. My father had promised to send me to a nearby town called Jowa to go to school, but yet the Civil War started in 1989. So 1990, I did not have the opportunity to go to school. Lived on the farm, conscripted as a child soldier almost 3 different times, but all the times ran away because I and my brothers did not want to be fighters. But it continued until 1994. Finally, the Kuruma War took off in our village. We went to Guinea. In 1994, there I wanted to go to school. I wanted to stay with my sister. She was getting ready to send me to a friend's school. Then she passed away from a very short illness. Then that dream died. I have to move to the other refugee camp. This was in 1995. Still, I wanted to go to school. I told my father. He said I was too old. He sent me to learn blacksmith. I went to the blacksmith shop. I spent about 3.5 weeks. Then I left. I still said I wanted to go to school. Anyway, to fast forward the story, I started school at the age of almost 14. But by 2005, that's in 1995 when I started, by 2005, I graduated from high school in Lemela as a student council president, as a valedictorian. I went to Connington. I spent 3 years in Connington instead of 4. I went back to Connington. I got a master's degree. Then I got a scholarship. Came to the U.S., to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I got my second master's degree. And then by 2018, at the age of 37, I got a doctor of philosophy, a PhD in environmental science, focusing on the field of political ecology. So that was at the age of 37. So becoming one of the top 1% highly educated people in the United States and that of the world. But education is one thing. What do you do with the education to transform your people is much more important. So people call me Dr. Yabawo, Dr. Urey, anyone. I say that name is not that important. What is important is how do we use this higher education we have obtained to help society. That was the reason why I went back to Liberia. Because in 2010, I have started working with the Land Commission and the Land Right Law. I started to research. In fact, my master's thesis focused on the land right policy, and over 90% of my recommendation in the work went to inform the policy. I working with a group of civil society and researchers. It was at that point I got to know Councillor Gongo because he was doing the legal part of the law, I was doing the research part. Anyway, the purpose of going to Liberia was to make sure that law was passed. And the law was passed when I got to Liberia in terms of the work we did along with civil society and folks in government. The, the version of the law we have right now, it was printed in my office and took it to Senator George Timber. I took it to the president we are in 2018 September for his signature. So it's a contribution. We can go into what is in the law and what makes it so much foundational to the development of Liberia. But that is just one aspect. What I will build schools around the country, sustainable agriculture, innovation in different areas. We were doing that until I decided to get into government by running as a representative aspirant for District Number 4 in Bon County. Finally, while pursuing that as an independent candidate, I was called by the councillor to serve as a vice presidential candidate, which I was very happy to accept after we did all the negotiations with our people across the district and for Bon County as a whole. In a beautiful ceremony, my hands were taken and laid into the hands of the councillor to be his vice standard bearer. And we are very happy to be at this point.
Indeed, he said we are very happy. Now let's go into your manifesto, what the platform you are running on. People are eager, they want to know. Explain it to them.
So, thank you very much. That's an important question. Councillor Gongo is a smart man. He has stood up for justice. And everything he has done more than 35 years is all about Liberia and how do we find peace. They call him the poor man lawyer. I joined him. We do have a 10-point agenda for the transformation of Liberia. We want to make Liberia a middle income country, set the stage for Liberia to be considered a developed country. Our 10-point agenda is very easy, and they are not anything that is so difficult to do. Is the political will and the innovation to get that to do. So we start with infrastructure. In terms of infrastructure, we want to make sure that there's free movement of people throughout the country, and rainy season should not be an impediment. So we shouldn't have muddy roads and all of that. So we make sure we have public works stations in every county responsible for the maintenance of the roads, the farm to market road throughout the year. And so you could leave from Monrovia one day and get to Harper. So that even in July or August, we want to make sure that we have roads throughout the country. We do that by making sure the government functionary, especially the yellow machines, are in every county responsible for the maintenance of the county road throughout the year. In agriculture, the major thing we consume in Liberia is rice. How can a country of 5 million people, when depending on a country of a billion people, India for that matter, or China, or other countries, Thailand and so, to import their stable food? That is very unstable. So we want to make sure that we have self-sufficiency in rice production by making sure the subsidies that governments using to subsidize the importation of rice in Liberia. That same money, we empower the leaf farmers, purchase yellow machine, set up a credit system, the agricultural bank, we activate it. We want to make sure that we put money into the military so we are not at war. The agricultural department of the military is strong enough to provide essential services in terms of the kind of infrastructure that is needed. We use the military for that, to even grow rice in every county. So we want to make sure that Liberia, is self-sufficient in terms of food. We want to make sure we eliminate illiteracy rate in Liberia in 2 years. People think that it's difficult to do. It's not that difficult. We have a clear strategy. Take for instance, we say from 10th grade to 12th grade, each student take on 10 people who can read and write. Teach them, we pay you every month. We work with those in education and ministry to develop a curriculum that they can follow. And every 3 months or so, we go and administer tests to the students to make sure they are learning. Each high school student teach at least 10 people in your community that can read and write. And following the procedure of the curriculum, in 2 years' time, we eliminate illiteracy rate in Liberia. In the healthcare sector, we set up a high bar that no other candidate in the race have said publicly to anybody. We say that we're not praying to be healed, but we are not Liberian than other Liberians. Not because I'm vice president. So when I'm sick, I should fly to the United States, I should go to Ghana or India for treatment. Uh, what most about ordinary Liberian? When it gets sick, they don't have the means to travel out of the country. So we set up and say that we're not praying for illness, but when we are sick, we will not be treated out of Liberia. And will be treated at the government facility in Liberia. We set that kind of standard for ourselves. It will be treated at the GFK. It means that the GFK has to be up to standard, right? That's just one. So we make sure that we train doctors. Doctors are well paid. Nurses are well paid. We make sure that older people, 65 years and older, free medical care. We make sure pregnant women and children under 5 years, free medical care. Those things in between, we make sure that affordable medical care throughout Liberia, just in the healthcare sector. And many more we can talk about, even the problem of the Zocos, right? We have a whole strategy to deal with that whole process. Let us enforce the rules, the laws. If the laws are weak, let's get a stronger law so that we stop the importation of drugs in Liberia. Those who are locally making drugs in Liberia, we stem high on them. When we can stop the importation, then those that are affected already, we can be able to rehabilitate them and make sure that we provide job opportunities for them. I have a personal experience with them. I work with a lot of Zocos because I'm a researcher. So for me to find out the root cause of something, I go and get involved and use my research lens to find out. I discovered that most of the people, they already have skills, but the drugs actually take them from their profession and make them liability on society. So it means that if we have a vocational program in our education sector, where we say from ABC all the way to 12th grade is free, is quality education comparable to Ghana, Nigeria, and other countries in the region, and they are actually good schools. We make sure that vocational schools are in every county, specialized vocational schools, so that students graduate from there immediately they have job. We have already created a job market for these people so that when we are rehabilitating them from drugs, we already get job for them. Those who have training among them will use them as trainers, right? They will listen to their friends. So we have all these. How do we do these things? The bigger one is the corruption part, which is number one on our agenda. But I explained it at the end because of a reason. We definitely need money. Everything I just said, and many more I have not said, we need money to do that. And we're not depending on anybody. We're not depending on any country for money. We have the money in Liberia. What we need to do is we raise more money and free the money because the money is in the hands of few people through corrupt means. They corrupt so much, and because impunity is at the rooftop, they never afraid to steal, right? They steal, they develop their properties right in our faces. They don't hide it. In fact, some of them went to Banga and told people, they say we are corrupt, but at least our own money when we steal it, we can invest in the country. They said it themselves. So we want to stem high on corruption as to free the money. How do we do that? First 100 days, we set up an integrity committee, and that committee is responsible to investigate the audit report, review the audit report, and the one coming from the internal audit agency, the one coming from the LECC, the one coming from the GSC, put those together. Those who take lion's share, we arrest them and we prosecute them, and they go to jail. And the properties they have developed, the ill-gotten wealth they have acquired at the back of the Liberian people, we seize those and turn those over to the Liberian government as a first step. Those of us in government, we set ourselves high standard. We make sure that we declare our assets and make it public so you can see everything I have, right? We make sure we publish the salaries of everyone in government. So you'll be able, by the click of a button on the computer, you'll be able to see how much the president, the vice president, the ministers are making. We'll make sure because it's the right of every Liberian to know the function of their government. Part of that is financial. So, and then on top of that, we make sure that we audit, we call lifestyle audit of each minister and all of us in government. Every 3 months, we make sure we see what you're acquiring. If you're building right now, Where are you getting the money from? If you have investment somewhere, you inherited family wealth and the rest of it, not a problem. We don't have problem. We just want to make sure your development you're doing, the wealth you're acquiring, is not done unfairly. It's not the Liberian people money you're squandering. When we do all that, the money will be free. And when the money is free, then we can use the money to do what I just said. And when we do that, that's the essence of our goal. When we talk about sweeping corruption, that's what we're talking about. And many more that we can talk about here is still today.
Indeed, Dr. Emanuel Urey Yarkawolo, the outlining the vision plan for Liberia. He spoke about infrastructure, agriculture, literacy, healthcare, and mostly corruption. But let's go now into more practical steps. Election is on, and we want to know what is it that you are doing to attract more voters to you, the 2 point some million voters, and you guys, like you are a new face to politics in Liberia in terms of national politics. Tielon Gongo has been in the news for preaching integrity. What are you doing? What strategy are you using to bring on board more voters?
Wonderful. And I think I can hear you, so I kind of put my mic down. But yes, I may not be known, but I am known. Because in Liberia, I lived and worked there throughout, served as student leader throughout. So you go to Cuttington, you go to the high school I graduated from, in the church I go to, everyone knows me. So why is it that at the national politics, I'm just coming at least to serve as vice presidential candidate? I'm also running as an independent candidate in my district. Now I'm going to win that election. We have a very unusual way of running campaign that people don't understand because they're going to go and all of our supporters, including Joe here, when they raise a dollar in senators, we have a very unusual. And quite recently, there was an analysis done with in the front page Africa, and the writer said, for us, we need to continue to deploy the unusual thing we are doing, and which we are doing. Just for instance, in Bond County, the work I did with the land right by passing the land right law, it was documented in the documentary called "The Land Beneath Our Feet." I travel around the world. The documentary I made around the world. So when we go to a village, all we need, well, we bring the villagers together and show the documentary. In the morning, we'll talk to them. They're already finishing the work. It's extremely powerful. Or because Congo, as you are playing, takes a mark, go in the street, talk to people, go to the marketplaces. I do the same. And then we have youth supporters, diaspora supporters. They are raising funds and supporting individual institutions in Liberia. They know their people. So in Nigeria, people are raising money to help different parts of the country. And the diaspora Liberians are calling their people, telling them that you need to vote these people. They identify institutions that we can work with and passing the institutions over to us. So right now, we are very confident in what we've done and the kind of responses we have. We may not be the one to put the big crowd. Some of the crowd are really fake crowd anyway, but we too have put a crowd. Take for instance, my naming ceremony in Bong County. The amount of crowd we put up, the people that did not come, the one that showed up was just one third of the people that did not come. Or quite recently when we launched our campaign, was it last Saturday, Joe?
Yeah.
In Kanta,
In
the amount, so we are working, and our work will pay off. It will definitely pay off, and we are on our way to the presidency. There's no question about it.
He sounds very much, albeit that he's the next vice president for Liberia. Now let's go into the issue of why have you identified, what have you decided to kick out President George Weah? What are some of the things he have done that you like? Oh, this is not good. I think the Gonglo and Yarkawolo team can do better. Outline some of them.
Well, I think you have to go to Liberia and interact with a student who has dropped out of school, cannot afford school fee now, to understand the gravity of the issue. Or you have to go to a market woman who is selling better boy and ask her about her life and her business right now. And the way she's suffering and the way her kids are not in school. Or you have to go to Johnsonville where I live and move around the communities and see that people don't have food to eat before you understand the gravity of the issue. That's what I do. Literally go out and interact with people, like ordinary people, to understand their situation. Life is difficult in Liberia. except the CDC and those at the top of the CDC who live in the flamboyant life, the cars, the houses, the women, and you think yeah, except them, the rest of the people are suffering. Or you travel to a clinic and you make a nurse, a wearing nurse, and you're talking to her. She said, Dad, we heard like many times. I'm sitting here helpless. A lady will come to the hospital, to the clinic here, and you know that you're going to go home and die. Her problem, you do have solution. You are trained to treat this type of issue. You have no equipment. You don't have any medicine to give her. So you know that you're going, and that beats your heart. You have to travel to a clinic and actually speak to an OIC before you understand like your problem. George Weah administration is a failure. George Weah and his people that let a lot of Liberia down. This was not what they were expecting. But some of us warned them also that you are electing somebody who you don't know. Not because somebody is famous by playing soccer makes them to be good administrator to run the country. The two are completely different. But some Liberians did not listen to us. And the country, the hardship in the country is too much right now, except those who are at the top of their government. And they walk around acting like nothing happened. They have parties, they go different places to do all kinds of things. Um, like they are in the bubbles. They really look like they're in the bubble because they don't come down and go to the people and try to find the suffering in the country as we see it because they enjoy it and they keep themselves in that bubble. Life is unbearable in Liberia, and we cannot afford another 6 years by the administration. That's why I agree with Joe. I agree with our counselor when he said Liberia is in the ICU. When somebody's in this intensive care unit, the person is likely to die. That's why they are there. It's a secluded part of the hospital. There where the country is. Do you want to carry on for another 6 years? We say no. We have a very clear alternative, and the Liberians should listen. And we're asking them, and they are following, so that we give that alternative. Take Liberia from the ICU and bring Liberia back to life the way the country is supposed to be.
Indeed, he's Dr. Emanuel Yarkawolo. When we come back after this short gonglo ad video, we'll go to Joe Mullenberg to discuss why they are doing this fundraising for Team Tier 1 Gonglo. Let's take this break, and when we come back, we'll talk to Joe.
Tani amoyima. Ifogabogo. Rajira ye wawadero. Ogorano omobora. Labiano iwawera. Apotia wa gongo monu ile baba. Labia sene wawaya. Diable ya potida. Something Zota Numbebe Yasia No go Magrevan Wapa Iwanga Wapo wa no senu Eme yi fokale imwe Bravo nuile.
In the Team Tier 1 Gonglo there with that beautiful production promoting the work of Team Tier 1 Gonglo. Let's talk to the executive director, Joe Mullenberg, who's in Minnesota, organizing this big fundraising for Team Tier 1 Gonglo. They say, put your mouth to where your money is. And these young guys are here supporting Team Tier 1 Gonglo. Joe, tell us why are you raising money and how are you going about raising money?
First of all, those who are listening, you keep saying executive director, but you're not completing it. I'm the executive director of Team Gonglo, Minnesota.
Okay.
So the Team Gonglo has, different branches in the U.S. You have Team Gonglo Global, there are Team Gonglo, different kinds of Team Gonglo groups. So I'm the one from Team Gonglo, Minnesota. And then before I come into why we're doing the fundraising, I would love to tell all those that are listening that if we talk about Liberia being an ICU and we're trying to take the country from the ICU, this is some of the reasons why we have to do this, because this requires money, to take the country from the ICU. And then before you take a country from the ICU, it needs a doctor who knows, who has the prerequisite and has and know how to diagnose the prescription, the right prescription that will deliver that patient from the ICU. We got like the presidential candidates. I can consider them as doctors, and the country as ICU, for example. And then you have to be specifically, have you gotta have some specification, you know, before you deliver a patient. You gotta know what happened to the patient, and that diagnosis you have specification. What do I mean? I'm trying to say the right person that will deliver that person from the ICU should have experience. You should have that political experience. You should have tasted very close to the presidency. So you have that experience. And the only one that have that experience that close to the presidency is Councilman Timon Gongo, because he worked with Amos Soil, who was then serving as our interim president. So he worked closely with him, so he knew how he knows very well how the presidency runs. So he has a prerequisite. So he has that, so he's the right man that can give that prescription for that patient to be in the ICU, because he has a specification. That's what we're talking about. So with all this being said, so everything that needs to be done in a country to rescue the country from the ICU requires money, as I said. So we decided to use a fundraising program to raise money to help, because we don't want create false impressions when it comes to finances. So this is the reason why people in the diaspora, especially in Minnesota, they hire earn money that they work for, not through any corrupt means, but pushing the hours. So they decided to put this money together because they have love for the country, and decided to financially support, the LPP in Liberia, specifically our State Bureau and the Vice State Bureau, to make sure that they sit down at the right place. Because the right place they need to be sitting is an executive mansion. So we're doing our best to push more hours to see whether we can send the money. A lot of things they can do the money with, they can do with the money. They can do pool washer, they can do a lot of things. They make the decision, but we need to do everything to give them the finances to do that. We've been doing it before, and we'll be excited doing it. We are excited doing this thing. We've been doing it in the past, and then we've been seeing the outcome of our finances being spent in Liberia, and we appreciate what they've been doing, and we applaud the rest of the people that there that have been disbursing the finances. In life, whenever money is collected by a group of people, and then the people send the money back home for specific reasons, and then that money is used for a specific purpose, you feel encouraged to do more. That's how we feel right now in diaspora, especially in Minnesota slash LPP. So this is why we call them our friends who have been doing this before, that we should come together this evening, and then especially tomorrow, which is Saturday the 26th of August, to do some fundraising to make sure that we gather something to support our campaign in Liberia, especially the LPP. So to begin with, we printed t-shirts out today for today's program, that is to officially welcome our VP. So the t-shirts that we printed is an example of the t-shirt that's on me right now. So when you come at the program today, 5 p.m. Minnesota time, you'll realize that some of the t-shirts are in my vehicle, at the back of the vehicle. Those who have not gotten the t-shirts yet will have the opportunity to wear the t-shirts, and it will go and to come at the media program and ask our VP any question and fee that you need to ask him, anything you want from him.
So is there a target? Is there a targeted amount of cash you're looking for the Minnesota chapter?
Oh yes, I'm looking around. If it will be, considerably, I was looking around 20,000 or 10,000. If I can raise it, it will be fine. So Minnesota went close to that before, around 20-some thousand.
Do you have the numbers?
Yeah, the numbers for the fundraising doesn't matter so much, because we have a very good accountability system that we use our cash app. In Minnesota, we don't see cash flowing around. All the money goes to the cash app. So you can even be any part of the state and then you send money. So I'm not looking at very big crowd coming, and then gave the money, and looking at the money coming to the cash app. So 500% can be out of Minnesota, or even 1,000 can be out of Minnesota. Once they get our cash app, they can send the money from wherever they are, and it comes to the cash app. That's what concerns me right now. So we rent a hall that can take about 50 people right now, but I believe there will be more than that. But the rest of the people, we expect them, if you can't get there, you can sit home and then use our cash app and say your donation, we're going to see it. And then our cash app is a $. We use a $, FOG Minnesota. A lot of people can spell it. The $, FOG Minnesota. But that is our cash app. So you can stay in any part of the world, and then you will send your contribution through the $, FOG Minnesota. Like I said, if I repeat myself, the crowd is necessary, but not much a concern to me right now. What is concerned to me right now is the contribution that you send to the cash app or wherever you are. That's what most concerned right now.
Indeed, a member of the Tier 1 Gonglo and Dr. Emanuel Yarkawolo team from the LPP want to help transform Liberia. According to them, Liberia is in the what?
ICU.
When he said ICU, I was in the ICU. I know what it means, on oxygen. So whenever I hear that word, if you have not been there, you feel like it's just like going to the doctor. But at that stage, when your breath is like pump, 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 it's dropping. So indeed, they want to rescue Liberia, redeem Liberia from the hands of the George Weah government. According to them, they are here working with integrity, talking about corruption, infrastructure, agriculture, alleviating illiteracy from in our society or reducing it to a minimal level and improving our healthcare system. Let's take a short comment again from the standard bearer of the LPP, Tier 1 Gonglo, on his campaign tour. When we come back, we speak with the vice standard bearer more about other activities, looking at election violence that is creeping in Liberia, peace for Liberia, because we've celebrated 20 years of uninterrupted peace. And as we go to the worst election, what do he or the LPP expect from Liberians in terms of having a peaceful election? But here is Tier 1 Gonglo there with his broom, the broom team.
They are making the country to suffer too much. Let's get rid of them October 10. Let's shift the roads of power. Join the Blue Revolution. Let's shift the roads of power. We have to shift them from power. Too much stealing. Too much stealing. We have to shift them. Let's shift them on October 10th. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Yeah. Yes. Let's get rid of them. We'll shift them from power. This is Councilor Tiawanse Gonglo, your broom man. The broom movement. This is Councilor Tiawanse Gonglo, the broom man. Join the Blue Revolution so that we can shift them.
Indeed, join the Broom Revolution so we can sweep corruption from across Liberia. Tier 1 Gonglo there encouraging Liberians to elect him as president of Liberia. Let's go back to Dr. Emanuel Urey Yarkawolo to tell us more about, as we go towards election, let's look at the issue of peace. But before that, let's take a small clip from Judy Andy. Then Dr. Urey will speak about the issue of violence as we have been observing during our ongoing election and campaign process.
Your house from mosquitoes. When you have mosquitoes in your house, you put the mosquito coil, you drive them away, you clean your house. But are you going to set your house on fire because mosquito eating you? If you know what we know, and our parents sat down on our air feet, and we went to Accra and suffered in Accra, and our peace accord was signed. Don't even try us because this peace must be If you know what I know, just go and sit in your little corner, election time, go and vote. All of us here, We are affiliated one way or the other with those who are running. And we will go and vote. It is your choice. It is your right. Vote for whoever you want to vote for. But your still place your right star. Mine begins there. Don't dare you try to threaten me, intimidate me, and think say I will succumb. I will not succumb to anybody that intimidates me.
Indeed, you listen to Judy and they're talking about anyone threatening our peace. You just from Liberia. Tell us more about this feelings in Liberia. How is the campaign process? What have you observed so far, and what do you think since the campaign launch? What has been wrong?
I think we have been victims of violence because of what's going on. So on the 19th of July, some young people organized anti-corruption march for the first time in the history of Liberia. We joined them. Our group were marching. So we wrote the police, the justice minister twice, and may follow up. On our anti-corruption day, there was not a single police officer that accompanied us. It was peaceful from Duto all the way until we got to Center and Asmo Street, near the Providence Baptist Church, where we were making statements. And at the last minute time, the city government of Monrovia charged us $600 to use that place just for about 2 hours. I don't know who ever paid that type of money, but clearly the intent was to prevent us from having our program. We went ahead to be able to pay the money to have our program. The program was going well. Time for the council to make a statement. We saw the stone coming. They started throwing stone at us, unknown people. One of the stones really missed the council, and then our security guard to help us to take cover immediately. That was bad. What frustrated me was that there was not a single political party that came up to condemn. And in fact, the government itself did not condemn the violence mitigated against us. But that's really bad. Electoral violence, there are preliminaries that are coming up. It's not good for Liberia. If the election will be peaceful, I think maybe 2 or 3 things need to be done, and people need to make a decision. Take for instance, so we are has to accept the fact that his power has been tested, and this is democracy. The power is tested after every 6 years under our constitution. So he has to realize that it's possible he might not be re-elected. And so he has to turn Liberia to whosoever that will be elected peacefully. That's his responsibility. And he needs to show and demonstrate to the public and demonstrate to his followers, this is my decision. This election will run campaign peacefully. We'll go to the poll. If we lose the election, I'm prepared to accept the result and turn the country over. He has to be clear about that. He has not been clear, and he needs to do that. The same way, Mr. Bwaka himself needs to be very clear. It was unfortunate quite recently when he said that nobody has a monopoly over violence. I think a sitting presidential candidate cannot say that. By saying that alone is equivalent to incitement of your supporters. So we don't want him to say that, and he should be able to retract that particular statement because it's out of place. All right. The international community need to deploy a lot of observers in Liberia, if possible, to every polling station. There should be observers sitting there the whole time until the ballots are counted. The reason why that is important is that any result that comes from the National Election Commission should be validated. All right, because by the National Election Commission itself, people are already questioning the credibility of that institution. And so, for it to be transparent, the results should be validated, and we think that that validation will come by international observers who are there. There's no intimidation, there's no bribery taking place at the police station. That's very important. Without these, I think it will be a little bit difficult, especially like we see what it could be on the launch of the CDC campaign day, taking casket of Omejo Bwakai that was wrong, or it could be a clash of violence between the young people, the two opposing parties, that is the Unity Party and the CDC. So, and we see those coming up, and they are dangerous. All right, they are not good. And we want the leadership of the CDC, especially, saying in fact they have governmental power to take a lot more responsibility in terms of making sure that we have a peaceful, transparent, and credible election. And this is important because our democracy is old and young. In fact, it's post this war, I mean, post 2005, we started having successive election peacefully, right? So, why this election is important? Because if George Weah loses this election and the country transition peacefully, is a history. It's a history that a sitting president, had, had lost the election and had decided to give the country up to the winning team peacefully. That history can be continued, it can be carried on. But failure to do that is really bad. Ellen served for 2 terms and passed the country peacefully, right? And the 2 terms she won the election. But this is a way election to George Weah. Because if all he wins, then 2029 he will not contest again. But it's very dangerous for him to win because they are seeking for re-election. For the past 6 years, they have led the country, they have felt misery, and the country is really suffering. And to say that they're going to come back for a second term, which they will not be seeking election, that's the ICU part we talk about. All right. But I think Judge Weah and his code of officers should be able to demonstrate peace to the highest level and make it explicit for the public to see from their words, from their action. And otherwise, the sounds are not too good like we see it. However, though, we are revolutionaries. We are in this for it. So we are very determined. And so what I is doing all on July 19th, we still go in the street. I go in the street, my bro, for Roman campaign. We will still do what we can do to liberate Liberia. And no settlement of violence will deter us. We'll be peaceful. We'll continue to be peaceful. Because here, even in the United States, and when they used to brutalize Dr. King and his men, eventually the civil law, civil right act passed, right? Even though he lost his life in the process. That is it. So there has to be a time that changes have to come. It got to come through people. And so fear cannot be the way.
Let me just ask you this as we wrap up this, and after you answer, you can just give your parting comments. Tier 1 Gongo, Councilor Tier 1 Gongo, Dr. Emanuel Urey Yarkawolo, the issue of finance. You guys, people claim that you guys don't have money, right? How are you going to relate to our people who vote based on what they get?
The messaging. Our message is different. They are becoming to understand that each time I stand in front of the public, I demonstrate 2 colors. One is basically to describe the problem and how this government and past government, how they're eating the country resources. At the end, the little one that is there, they distribute it during election and fool the public, and then so that they can vote them, the cycle start again. I give another color and demonstrate the opposite. So when I leave from there, out on the radio or in front of the crowd, and the council is very good at it as well, people believe us because we are trustworthy people. Money is not the problem. Money has not helped Liberia. Otherwise, people say George Weah was a millionaire, he was an international soccer fan, but when he took over in about 8 months, he built mansion, it doesn't show the source of his money. And clearly that's government money. I can be able to say that because I don't know the source of his money. You understand? So the people are beginning to learn that during election time, we make mistakes. So when we bring money, we hear justifiably, that's Liberian people money. When we go to the pool, we'll never vote them. So money is not our problem. Councilor Gongo himself, he traveled over 325 towns outside of Maserado. No money in making that kind of trip, So thank God we have core people in Liberia and in the diaspora who have gravitated towards the ideas. And as Joe said, they are putting their resources into it. I want to encourage them as a parting comment. It's a form of investment. If you are in America, in different parts of the world, you are in Minnesota, today and tomorrow, come with $1 or 2. It is an investment. That investment is beyond yourself. You are sacrificing so you see a stable country. Because also, when your people are poor, they're not working, you in America working, the school fee, when they are sick, all the costs are on you. And by our tradition, we are supposed to help our people. What life are you living in America? If you have a stable Liberia where people are working, where your students are working, they're able to pay their own school fee, they're able to take care of themselves, the pressure is less on you. Why not invest a little money to get to that point rather than year in, year out, they're depending on you? So we're asking people, as they have been doing, Joe and his group and the rest of the diaspora group, they've been helping a lot. Continue that. We just have few more weeks to go with this election. So push us now. We are gaining a lot of momentum. Let's cross the line. Let Liberia be stable one and for all. You do that tomorrow by coming to this fundraiser event. That is tomorrow, Saturday, August 26th. That is 2929 Brookdale Drive, Brooklyn Park, MN, that's Minnesota 55444. So the address is 2929 Brookdale Drive, Brooklyn Park.
Yeah, the flyers is already on.
Okay, the flyer is there, so people are seeing the flyer as well. But otherwise, we want to say thank you to KMTV, thank you to Joe, thank you to all of our supporters, those who are sitting on the fan, join the train for the transformation of Liberia. I'm humbled to be here today. Thank you very much.
Dr. Emanuel Urey Yarkawolo, they're speaking to KMTV. Let's take a final parting comment from Joe, who is heading the Minnesota chapter executive director. Joe, tell us more about this event as we wrap up. How can people support, and what motivates you guys to support people with integrity, as you claim?
Yeah, I will come back to my previous statement. Those who have not, heard what I said initially, I think what I said initially came back with a question to my VP. And then the question was about finances. How is this getting financed? Initially I said, we are a group of Liberians in the diaspora, specifically at the top of Minnesota, who do the doubles, and do the doubles. When I talk about doubles, I mean the full-time double jobs and the high-end money. They decide to, because of the love they have for the country Liberia, and they want to have resources to go to the right place. That's why they decided to support the LPP that is headed by Councilor Timon Congo and the VP, Dr. Urey Yarkawolo. So this is a clean and hard money that we work on. So we are the ones being at the back, monitoring things in Liberia, we made a decision because of integrity's sake to support both of them. So we'll be pumping our resources. That's how things have been going. So we will continue to do that to see at the end, because we are not discouraged, we are encouraged, because our money has been used for an intended purpose, and we've seen the feedback. So this is why we have come again to say, look, and we're getting results. So we need to continue this, because it's almost time for it to be over. So that's why we're having a fundraising, so we can pump in the money that we need to do other things in Liberia that have been completed. And another thing that we tell Liberians that are listening to me, we're not looking at how much money you have, even though it's necessary to pump money into election, to see people jumping up and down, eating, it's necessary. But the money you see out there that people giving to you, and you're jumping up and down, eating, and calling big crowds, this is money that is for you, Liberians. It's your money, it's our money. And this money was taken from our coffers, and then got in the hands of few persons, who are running the country right now, and decided to use it this time around after we've been cheated and with huge number of corruptions, and trying to blind us by giving us the money back, and so they can continue to do what they're doing to us. And this is the reason why for me, the reason why specifically from my own idea, that we need to change the government through the ballot box is there is no program for our youth. If Joe Bian leaves today, and then he's leave the presidency today, think about who's going to replace him. That's what we're looking at. Who's going to replace him? Our youths are people in the future that will depend on to replace leadership. We are all grown up now. So do we have program for the youths? No, nothing. I don't see anything like the government has put in line to say, look, this is the program for the youth for tomorrow. Like we live in America, we've had a lot of programs there for the youth. They can easily replace people who are grown up and living power. But look at the youth in Liberia, they are on the bike. They're growing up on the motorbike. 60% of our youth that are riding motorbike I always say this, and they are forced to be adults. And what do I mean forced to be adults? This is somebody who is about 20 years old. He ride motorbike, or 25-year-old riding the motorbike around and bringing in money. This guy, this little child, mother is not working, father is not working, so they depend on that money that the motorcycle is bringing. So while he bringing that money, he will be forced to be tempted by maybe an older lady, because he's bringing money in, who feels that if she gets around him, she'll be able to get some money from him. So for that reason, he got on right now a huge responsibility. He's taking care of his parents and he's taking care of that lady. So he forced to become adult at that point. Not just an adult, but a huge responsibility. Because of the poverty rate in the country. This is why we want to start. It comes to the government and that the youth come into power. I think there will be problem for the youth, so they can be busy. So that this kind of life, can be eradicated. Because if you like 20 years old right now, and you ride motorbike, if you ride motorbike right now at 20 years old from the time George we have been there, if you put him back, you're going to be 26 years old when he leaves. And then you're going to be at the same spot. What have you achieved? Nothing. You're growing on that motorbike. From 20 to 26 years old, then he's gone. He's not coming back. Joshua, if you're watching right now, he's a guy who loves soccer. We all love soccer. I love soccer. I'm a Chelsea fan. We all love it. And if we watch him very well, he like somebody who wants to recreate. And he wants to sit down and watch a soccer game peacefully. I think this is the time that he should say, look, I think I have done my part. It's been 6 years now since I've been here. Let me give somebody else a chance and go and watch my soccer game, which would be appropriate. Where you can sit down in your air condition, watch Chelsea play, and watch you and the rest of the team playing with peace. I think that's what he needs to do now. Instead of people fooling him and saying, the man just ready to go back, do this. If you listen to me right now, Georgia, if I were you, with the proliferation of political parties coming only because of the bad governance, I would just say, let me give the people a chance to see what they can do and enjoy my life. Because you've been a very good, excellent soccer friend, and then you raise Liberian higher when it comes to the soccer. So give them chance, give other people a chance, especially the LPP, give them a chance to do what they want to do. And say, look, gentlemen, let me just give people a chance to do what they do. That's what I want to say. Mr. Oya, if you listen to me, we love you. And please reconsider running for the presidency and enjoy your life with the soccer football you've been playing. You got long life, you got Moto 2 to watch, so give Council of Bongo and the chance, and go back to the soccer field, sit down and watch your game peacefully. And those that are being given money and t-shirts because you want to vote, the money and t-shirts that they give you is your own money. You have the right to eat that money and go to the ballot box and vote your conscience. Don't let anybody feel that because they give you money and t-shirts, so you're forced to vote for them. Take the money. The crowd, they call it, they say, go there, we'll get you money, go there. If they want to see the 10,000, 15,000 crowd and they give you money, go there because you need the money. But when you go to the ballot box, vote your conscience. And let give Joshua time to go watch, peacefully go home and watch his soccer game. Then you travel somewhere and watch his soccer game peacefully. That's what I want to say. Thank you so much for having me.
Indeed, he's the Executive Director of Team Gonglo, Minnesota of the Liberia People's Party, LPP. They're speaking, Joe Mullenberg, they're speaking. He spoke more about the campaign and the fundraising program, as you see on the screen here. There is a fundraising program. The event is there. The meet and greet is August 25th. That's the meet and greet. And it's at 2929 Brookdale Drive, Brooklyn Park, Minnesota 55444, and it's at 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. today. So you can also go there. You see on the screen T-shirt. They are selling T-shirt. It's a means of raising funds for the Tier 1 Gonglo campaign team. And the vice standard bearer, Dr. Emanuel Urey Yarkawolo, is in Minnesota here. He's here to answer all of your questions. There are a lot of events, so I know the team is here. They are raising money, Cash App, as Joe mentioned, is also here. And we at KMTV would like to say thanks to the team for always coming here. And we are open to all political parties. This is a pay-for broadcast. So if you are in Minnesota or anywhere around the world, you want to promote your candidate, you can contact us and we'll be glad to grant you the platform. We are open for business and open to spread your message to all Liberians. We'd like to say thanks for always coming, Dr. Emanuel. Yarkawolo, this should be your home. Come to KMTV and propagate your message. And you, Joe, thanks for always knocking out those Federal Woods and the other guys from Team Tier 1 Gonglo. They have been very much instrumental in working with us at KMTV. Thanks so much. And let's take a message here from your campaign department.
Frankie LV, a run stepper, a leader, is a warning to the followers. Our liberator is here. They want to go all the way.
Iron Lady Records, sweet sound.
Lima guaya ume bongo, bongo, bongo. La biama ya obore, bongo, bongo, jawa bongo, bongo, jawa bongo, bongo, jawa bongo. Say wa ya, abola bia sene ye wa gbeya. Lo fa ye wa gbera. Papa dia wa gongo monu ile. You know wa wa ya. Me go ni ma ine yi wa wa tere. Zaba lo gbo yi. Ni wa lo wa gbo yi. Apo ma won ta me wa lo wa gbo yi. Ta de pa. No jeme. Okay, movement. Corruption la yen pona. Me wo kwa wa yi ba wo ne ara wo. Ega ye yi wa wo. Ampo ni ma no se ga ye yi wa so. Prende ye pona pone. Kanu gbe wo re. Kanu gbe wa gan mo lo mu e. Won ba ya kwa. Eti awon kwa gbogbo ya kwa e. Kanu wo pa ka e. Kani amoyi ma. Boko. Rajira ye wa wa dero. Ogo ralo wo mo bora. Labia no yi wa wa. Apoti awa gongo mo nu ile baba. Labia se ne wa wa ya. Diable ya potita. Something zota. Numbebe ya sia. Mi o go magun baba. Wa pa yi won gan. Wa po wa no senu. Eme yi fokole yi mo e. Ba mo nu ile. Bongo. Te wa bongo yi dogo wa e. Bongo.
E kwalu aka kwasna do e. Dia wan sona se o kwalu aka we. Dia wan gonglo. E kwalu aka o. Kwalu aka we ma se do ke we. Dia wan gonglo le nu pa yo e. Zuzule. Zuzu petie abi ekun e. E dia wan gonglo inu le we. La bia no me pa genu e. Ya o ya wan gonglo baba we go nyere glo nya go se do mi na go we aka o walu aka le go se pe ko a o ya wan gonglo le nu ba yo we wait on wait Aïe aïe aïe, Asaï. Tiens, on comprend que tu as un nom mais quel est. Walua kao, tiens, on comprend que tu as un nom. Oh, pour la main, walua kawe. Mais la vie a mis nous, walua kawe. Conglo, walua kao. C'est tiens, on comprend les nous pas quoi les. Mais la vie a mis nous, quoi c'est que ouais. Quoi c'est que moi, comment que quoi ta maison. Toujours bêtier, walua kao. Yao Demi be flou Daga ona keide dake Wabraga Yao Seti awan konglore no payo Diao
TV S Dolo ni ma musicien promoter. Àwọn gbọ̀ngbọ̀n ní màzó yà wọlé àpótí àwọn gbọ̀ngbọ̀n wà náà bọ̀lẹ̀ tí wọ́n gbọ̀ngbọ̀n gbọ̀lẹ̀ yẹ kẹsẹ̀ ní wọlé yọ yẹ kọ ẹ̀lì jọ́sìn yìí ká wọ́n kò sẹ́ni wá tíà gbọ̀ngbọ̀n pọ̀ káàkiri tó wà lọ́wọ́ káyé tàbí àpà lọ́wọ́ káyé. Afọ mgbasa ụlọ kwalụ ọga ka ye iwasị n'ime agha ye iwe owe afọ n'ime anụ ụzọ kwa ụwa gị kwa pikpise
Wọ́n gẹ̀.
Join the pro-revolution for Kansas, one second. We got to carry. Let's shift the road for power. We have to shift them for power. Too much stealing. We have to shift them. Let's shift them. On October 10th. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Government is a place to serve, not to steal. Yeah.